The 2025 Kia EV6 has quickly become one of the most talked about electric crossovers on the market in recent years, with its bold styling, ultra-fast charging, and a driving experience that feels anything but ordinary. But is it all that good? So, in this video, we're diving into the top 5 pros and cons of the 2025 EV6, the real-world highs, and a few things that might give you pause before leaping. Whether you're considering your first EV or just curious about where Kia's electric game stands, we've got you covered with the facts and a little perspective along the way. So let's get into it. Here's what the EV6 nails and where it still has room to grow. This is Parth, and you are watching MotorNation. So let's start with the pros. Let's start with the obvious pro, the design language. The 2025 Kia EV6 still looks like it just rolled off a concept car runway even after the recent redesign. That sleek, coupe-like profile, the aggressive front end, and those signature LED taillights? It's a head-turner for me always. Even among EVs, they're trying pretty hard to stand out, like one of my other favorites, the Ioniq 5. With the recent redesign, the front end with the new headlights also looks more futuristic to me than ever before. But the real surprise comes when you step inside. The cabin feels premium without being pretentious. It just has it all: premium materials, tech, and features you need. You're greeted by dual 12.3-inch curved displays that feel futuristic but not overwhelming. The layout is clean, modern, and easy to use. And the materials? Durable, soft touch, and thoughtfully placed. It feels like Kia put real care into making this interior both stylish and functional. Honestly speaking, it punches way above its price tag when it comes to cabin feel. This is the kind of interior you'd expect in something much more expensive. Talking personally, I just love the stance of this car, like it's an SUV, but it doesn't feel like one. That just because it's a bit lower than any other SUV with those sleek lines which give it a performance-oriented look, and I feel that this is just the best vehicle in the segment in terms of design. Like it or not, Kia just nailed it from the design point of view. Do share your thoughts in the comments with me. If there's one thing that sets the 2025 Kia EV6 apart from the crowd, it's this range and charging speed that just makes sense, which happens to be the second pro. With its newly upgraded 84 kilowatt-hour battery that is only offered in extended range versions, the EV6 rear-wheel drive version can now deliver up to 319 miles on a single charge, which is the same as the Ioniq 5 as well. The standard one remains the same, featuring 58 to 63 kilowatt-hour battery packs. Well, anyways, the new pack gives the EV6 a huge win for anyone dealing with range anxiety and puts in the same league as some much pricier EVs from other premium brands. It's the kind of thing that gives you a bit more peace of mind when you're on a long trip, since many of us have range anxieties, include me, in that list as well. But the real magic is Kia's 800-volt architecture, again co-developed with Hyundai. This tech allows the EV6 to handle super fast DC charging, getting you from 10% to 80% in just about 18 minutes. I feel that's a great time, as it can be managed between the small stops for lunch or even some snacks. That's the kind of real-world convenience that makes living with an EV not just possible, but enjoyable now. It's proof that Kia isn't just chasing numbers. They're designing this car around how people drive. Now, don't let the EV6's clean, minimalist design fool you. This thing can move, and by move, I mean it could just be a rocket, especially if you go for one of the dual-motor AWD variants like the GT line, and that's the third pro. The standard all-wheel drive version delivers a very respectable 320 horses, which translates to a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of around 4.5 seconds. That's quick by any standard for any SUV of this class, and even more impressive for a family-friendly electric crossover. For me, it's not that odd, because being an electric vehicle, of course, it has a better torque at the start, but anyway, the performance is really impressive. But if you really have the adrenaline level, the EV6 GT is the trim where things get a hell wild. We're talking over 600 horsepower, with a 0 to 60 time of just 3.4 seconds, and that's just supercar territory. In fact, in real-world drag runs, the GT version, the pre-facelift versions, has even outpaced models like the Ferrari Roma and Porsche Taycan 4S off the line. And yet I would say it's an all-in-one car that still seats 5, has a usable trunk, and doesn't scream track toy. It's power with purpose, and it adds a whole new layer of fun to the EV experience. If you're that tech guy who loves everything techy, the 2025 Kia EV6 brings its A game to you, since tech is the 4th Pro on the list. Right from the driver's seat, you're greeted by a pair of seamless 12.3-inch curved displays. One serves you as the digital cluster showing you all the metrics, and the other is for infotainment, giving the whole cabin a sleek, modern feel. There's also an available head-up display with augmented reality feel, a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot, and even vehicle-to-load (V2L) capabilities similar to the Ioniq 5, helping you charge devices or even power appliances directly from the car. And then there's Kia's remote Smart Park Assist, which lets the EV6 park itself while you watch from outside. Yeah, it's that kind of futuristic, but overrated as well. That's what I feel. Could just tell me how many times would you really use it? But beyond the flashy features, it's also packed with substance. The EV6 comes equipped with a robust Level 2 driver assist suite, including adaptive cruise control, lane centering, blind spot view monitoring, and more. It's the kind of tech that quietly makes driving easier and safer every time you hit the road. What I would like to say is this. All in all, the EV6 feels less like just a car and more like a rolling smart device. Starting this model year, most EV6 variants sold in the US market are now assembled in Georgia, which adds 2 big benefits to your and mine pockets. First, it aligns the EV6 with the NACS charging standard, meaning easier access to Tesla superchargers in the near future. And second, and this is a big one, it helps the EV6 qualify for the full $7,500 federal EV tax credit, depending on your configuration and eligibility, meaning it just became cheaper. That's a huge incentive, and it brings the effective price of this EV into an even more competitive zone. Over in Europe, the EV6 continues to benefit from a strong charging infrastructure and generous incentives in many countries, from company car tax breaks to registration discounts. Plus, its fast charging capabilities and solid WLTP range make it a highly practical EV across the whole continent. If thinking normally, like me, it's a well-rounded option. You get a great stance, a bold look, aggressive performance that meets your adrenaline, high-tech features inside and out, plus tax credits. What else do you need? I would say this has to be one of the top choices. Yeah, so that's it about the pros. Now, let's see, what are some of the drawbacks or things that could have been better? As much as the EV6 impresses on style, that sweeping, coupe-like roofline does come with a trade-off, and the first place you'll notice it is in the cargo area. Making it the first thing, I think could have been done better. With the rear seats folded down, you get around 50.2 cubic feet of storage, which isn't terrible, but it's definitely on the smaller side compared to key rivals. For reference, the Tesla Model Y and Hyundai Ioniq 5, which also share the platform with EV6, both offer noticeably more space, making them better options if you regularly haul things in your cargo or just live out of your trunk like a true road warrior. Rear visibility also takes a hit. That sloping roof and narrow rear window look cool from the outside, but they make it a little tougher to see what's behind you, especially when parking or backing out tight spaces. Thankfully, Kia's surround view and blind spot camera systems help a lot, but it's still something to keep in mind, as a visibility issue can be major for many. I feel like it's one of those form over function compromises, great to look at, but maybe not the most practical for everyday utility. Now here's one that's been a bit of a sticking point for a lot of EV6 owners. Those haptic touch controls making it our con number 2. Instead of physical buttons for things like climate settings or media, which is a normal practice, the EV6 uses a touch-sensitive strip that can toggle between functions. I think Kia was literally overthinking tech this time. I mean, it looks sleek for sure, very clean and modern, but in practice, it's a little fiddly, or I would say literally fiddly. You have to switch between modes to adjust something as simple as fan speed or volume, and sometimes it doesn't register your touch right away. I mean, like being techie is great, but being too much techie can make things worse sometimes. Just imagine you moving your finger around the same bar again and again just to adjust different stuff. Weren't just buttons a bit more convenient? It's one of those things that seems cool on paper, but feels overcomplicated when you're trying to make quick changes on the go, especially while driving. To be fair, you do get used to it over time, and the rest of the interface is pretty intuitive. But for those who prefer the tactile feedback of real buttons, this setup might feel like a step backward in usability as it lacks that feel. While the EV6 handles great at higher speeds and feels solid on the highway, its low-speed ride quality isn't always as smooth as you might hope, especially on early trims with smaller wheels or standard suspension tuning, making it the third con on the list. On rough city roads or broken pavement, the ride can feel a bit choppy or firm, sending more of those little bumps and cracks through the cabin than you'd expect from a car in this class. It's not harsh, but it lacks the cushy, gliding feel you might get from something like a Volkswagen ID.4 or even a Hyundai Ioniq 5. Some of that is likely due to the EV6's sportier chassis and lower stance, which helps with handling, but doesn't do many favors in terms of urban comfort. The good news? Higher trims with adaptive suspension or different wheels do smooth things out a bit, but it's still worth noting if you drive mostly in the city or prioritize a soft, cushioned ride. As much as the EV6 shines in innovation, it hasn't been without a few growing pains, particularly around reliability and software, which is the fourth con. There have been reports of charging control unit defects, which even led to a recall in some markets. While Kia responded quickly with updates and service campaigns, it's a reminder that even well-built EVs can have teething issues as tech evolves. C-Tech has its own issues, and a car that's solely dependent on tech needs to be watched out for. Beyond that, some owners have experienced software glitches. Things like Bluetooth randomly dropping out, infotainment screen freezes, or delayed startup responses. Nothing catastrophic, but definitely annoying when you're expecting a seamless, high-tech experience. To Kia's credit, many of these bugs are being addressed through over-the-air updates, which is a great long-term solution. But for a car that feels so futuristic in many ways, these little hiccups can take away from the polish. Last, but definitely worth mentioning, the price. With the latest updates, the 2025 Kia EV6 now starts at just under $43,000. And that number climbs quickly if you want dual-motor, all-wheel drive, or higher trims with more features. And while it does offer a lot in terms of design, tech, and performance, it's undeniably more expensive than several key competitors. Crossovers like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Volkswagen ID.4, or even the Tesla Model Y, especially after price drops, often undercut the EV6 while still offering similar range and practicality. Now, it's not overpriced for what you get, but it's something buyers need to factor in. If value is your top priority, you may find better deals elsewhere in the segment. But I think seeing the features and performance it offers, it could be a great choice for many tech and performance lovers. So there you have it, 5 pros and 5 cons of the 2025 Kia EV6. It's clear this isn't just another electric crossover. It's a bold, tech-forward EV that brings serious performance, futuristic styling, and fast-charging convenience to the table. But it's not perfect. Some real-world usability quirks, software hiccups, and that premium pricing could give certain buyers pause, especially if you're cross-shopping for maximum practicality or value. That said, if you're someone who wants to stand out, appreciates clever design, and loves the idea of driving something that feels like it belongs in the future, the EV6 still makes a very compelling case. Personally, I think Kia deserves credit for pushing the envelope here. And with each update, it's getting closer to being one of the most well-rounded EVs in its class. Let me know in the comments. Would you consider the EV6? Or is another electric SUV catching your eye for 2025. If you found this helpful, drop a like, subscribe to MotorNation, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next review. Thanks for watching, and as always, drive safe, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.